At around 8 in the evening, we pull into a station named Miraj Junction. The slight discomfort in the nether region hasn't improved. It's dark, the station is teeming with beggars, and we are 6 tourists looking a little lost. They are the moths and we the flame. The mob of unfortunates lay siege to us. They show us their maladies and their disabilities, wounds and sores, and hold out their cupped hands for cash. The stress does wonders for my already knotted intestines. Right now, this is as far from my idea of a holiday as it is possible to get. Surveying the current situation, I consider that if I were to die of a heart attack right now and wind up in hell, I probably wouldn't realise it, as hell is second-class waiting at Miraj Junction during an all-out beggar assault, having no clue what to do or where to go while dealing with an ever-tightening intestinal tourniquet. Miraj by Phil Wingfield. Mumbai, September the 3rd, 1996. It has only been a few days, but India has been an eye-opener. Today we are heading to Goa, which I hope will be a little easier easier on everything, I hope. Keith and Martin, the Pompey lads, are also heading for Goa, so we are travelling together. We can only get to train part of the way, after which it's a bus ride. The taxi ride to the station is every bit as nerve-shredding as the ride in from the airport. We considered that the cavalier attitude to road safety was due to the lateness of the hour and the virtual absence of traffic. But our ride to the train station is every bit as frightening. Quite frankly, it's a wonder the streets here aren't lined with wreckage. Mumbai's principal railway station is an imposing Gothic edifice. Nowadays it is called Chhatrapati Shivaji Maharaj Terminus. But change takes time and most everyone still refers to it as Victoria Terminus, or VT for short, just as Mumbai is still often referred to as Bombay. As we did battle for tickets yesterday, no exaggeration, it is just a matter of finding our train, a task for which we have 10 minutes only. However, help is at hand in the shape of a little old man in a white turban, who takes us to our train, for a fee, naturally. Finding the train is one thing, finding our seats, quite another. We have specified seats in the specified carriage, and that's where we have to sit. The train is long, very long. With mere minutes to go, we run along the platform with our hefty luggage, find the carriage, and throw ourselves into the train. A printout glued to the door displays our names and seats. It was a close one, or so we thought. Departure time comes and goes, but we stay put. And we stay put for a further 40 minutes. We are in upper second class, which is air-conditioned. It is heavenly when we first enter after running along the platform wearing heavy rucksacks in the hot and humid late monsoon climate. However, it doesn't take long to move from heavenly through just right to a bit chilly. The vestibule between the carriages has just the right balance. In India, train doors are not locked and passengers often open them and stand in the doorway looking out. The warm but fast-moving air rushes in and creates a comfortable balance. Toilets on the train leave much, if not everything, to be desired. The common Indian kazi comes in 2 designs: Western style, the type we tourists are used to, and Indian style, a hole in the floor flanked by 2 footplates. It will be well to note that the latter seldom have toilet paper, but they do have a plastic jug hanging on a tap. I don't think I need to elaborate, do I? Of course, the ones on the train were Indian style, but we had learned quickly and the hard way to always carry toilet roll. When I have to use the facilities, I note that it is Indian style. Looking down between the footplates, I can see the track rushing underneath through the soil pipe. There is no, shall we say, onboard storage facility. No container to accommodate the unmentionables. It just drops out onto the track. It is a sobering thought that the number of passengers carried by Indian Railways over a year runs into the billions. In 1996, they carried over 5 billion passengers. Who would be a track maintenance worker? Towards the end of the journey, I start to feel a little uncomfortable in the lower abdomen. The toilets are in use, so I try the next carriage and find a Western-style loo. However, the seat is missing, and the chain has been replaced by string. The latter is not so much of an issue. But when I pull the string, water cascades down the outside of the downpipe onto the floor. I had assumed the wet floor to be something a little more unpleasant, as the pervading aroma suggested. But it's a crapper, whichever way you look at it. At around 8 in the evening, we pull into a station named Miraj Junction. This is as far as we can go by train, and it's a bus for the rest of the journey. The slight discomfort in the nether region hasn't improved. This I can well do without, especially when facing a long bus journey. I was under the impression that the train would take us further than it has. We are still quite away from Goa. So where are we? Where the hell is Miraj? It's dark. We have no idea where to get the bus. The station is teeming with beggars, and we are 6 tourists looking a little lost. They are the moths and we the flame. The mob of unfortunates lay siege to us. They show us their maladies and their disabilities, wounds and sores, and hold out their cupped hands for cash. The stress does wonders for my already knotted intestines. We take refuge in the platform thali house. I don't feel like eating, but at least we are off the platform. We order a thali each. 6 thalis cost a whopping 70 rupees. That's about £1.25. £1.25 for 6 people. The waiter has a hacking cough. He brings the food out, coughing as he does. It is pretty difficult to put your hand over your mouth while carrying plates of food, but rather than bring them one at a time, we all get a little extra dressing. What remained of my appetite is now gone. That's another 20 pence down the drain. A young guy enters the cafe. We assume he is another customer, but he comes straight over to us and asks if we need the bus to Goa. How did he know? We say yes, right off the bat, but he isn't used to that. He goes right on extolling the virtues of his bloody bus and how great it is, and exhorts us to take it. Also, we have to go with him and no one else. Fella, it's your bus, and we said yes, enough. Apparently, we have to get the tickets in advance. The bus station isn't far, or so we are told by a man we just met as we follow him into unfamiliar territory. It is late, but Miraj is still alive and kicking. Horns blare and people stare. This is the route to Goa. You've never seen a tourist before. We arrive at the Miraj Omnibus Company. Omnibus, such a quaint sounding name. It brings to mind horse-drawn trams and conductors in stovepipe hats. I'm not sure about the hats, but looking around at the Miraj traffic, horse-drawn is not out of the question. The man behind the counter at the Miraj Omnibus Company makes a big show of leafing through enormous ledgers, shuffling giant stacks of paper and looking intense as he does it. Then, grabbing a small pad of blank tickets, he scribbles in the boxes before handing us 6 tickets for the luxury coach to Panjim, which I hope is in Goa. The coach leaves at 11:15 or thereabouts, and at 150 rupees each, that's less than £3. Bargain. But there is still an expense to come. The guy who brought us here doesn't work for the Miraj Omnibus Company. It's another case of the pay favour. We give him some rupees, but too few it seems. Come on, friend, you walk us 200 metres to a bus station. We disagree with his assessment and leave. He's already on a commission. Make do with that, mate. Back in the safety of the thali restaurant, we finish up and pay the exorbitant bill. Dragging out the process as long as possible. The beggars are still out there, and we still have time to kill. As we have upper second class expired tickets, we head for the second class waiting room. There are only 3 occupants. A young woman and her 2 kids. She is sitting in the middle of the floor, and it's clear that something is amiss. The children hassle us for money, while Mum sways around and makes strange noises. They are a bit tiresome, but we can deal with it. However, it isn't long before more arrive, and it becomes very tiresome indeed. We bear with it for a while, but personally, feeling like crap plus this hassle wears thin quickly. The door to the waiting room opens, and to our surprise, it's a passenger. He sees what is going on and asks if we want help. Well, let me see now. But his help amounts to ejecting a couple of kids before giving up. This only leaves half a dozen or more, not including the original mum and her 2 kids. Thank you, sir. You have been least helpful. I glance at my watch. We still have quite a time until the bus leaves, and have never been faced with anything like this. I have an increasing intestinal discomfort and may need the loo. I checked out the facilities here earlier and almost doubly evacuated at the sight of them. Right now, this is as far from my idea of a holiday as it is possible to get. Surveying the current situation, I consider that if I were to die of a heart attack right now and wind up in hell, I probably wouldn't realise it, as hell is second-class waiting at Miraj Junction during an all-out beggar assault, having no clue what to do or where to go while dealing with an ever-tightening intestinal tourniquet. Enough is enough. We're not staying here. Like a sextet of Pied Pipers we leave, followed by the ragged mob. The original occupants, the woman and the kids, stay put. She is still swaying and mumbling as we leave. I'm not sure she knew we were there. I'm not sure she knows she is there. The station has an upper-class waiting room. There is nothing upper-class about us, but we go for it anyway. We pile in en masse, relying on our expired second-class ticket. I show it to the security guard, a man in his late 50s leaning on his latte, and he waves us in without studying the ticket in detail. Thank the gods for lax security. Luckily, he is not so shoddy as regards beggars. They remain outside for a while before slowly dissipating under his withering glare. Stress levels drop off thanks to this haven, but can it last? There are still passengers waiting, but not many, and I wonder how many more trains there are that we could legitimately be waiting for. As if he read my mind, the security guy wanders over and asks to see my ticket again. Now we're for it. He studies it this time while I try to explain our predicament, but I am explaining in a language he clearly doesn't understand. As a matter of zero interest, I am leaning on a litter bin moulded in the shape of a large rabbit. This only becomes relevant when the security guy hands me back the expired second-class ticket. He gives us a look of disdain before swatting my hand off the bin and walking away. You can stay, but don't touch the rabbit. Enter the guy from earlier who helped us by ejecting 2 small children. Unbelievably, he wants us to pay him for his services. Let's get this straight. You threw out 2 small children, gave up, and now you want paying. Expletive deleted. Half an hour before bus departure, we make sure the coast is clear before leaving. As we walk through Miraj, it occurs to me that of all the Westerners flooding into Mumbai and heading for Goa, not one of them caught this train. Maybe the place has a reputation. The bus rolls in around 11:30. It looks like a reasonably decent vehicle, which is a relief as we face a long overnighter. Part of me expected a battle-scarred beast belching black smoke with broken windows and half crammed with livestock. Not that I'm typecasting or pessimistic, you understand. As we board, we are told to put our packs in the luggage space underneath. After the airport, no one wanted to be parted with their stuff, so we refused and took them onto the bus. Much to the passengers' annoyance, particularly the ones we accidentally clouted with our sacks struggling up the aisle. The driver points us to single empty seats dotted around the bus. We don't like the idea of that either and insist on sitting together in the back row. The driver gives a resigned shrug and heads back down the bus as we try to mash ourselves and our packs into the inadequate space. We have our packs, no stealing our stuff, and we're sitting where we want, not dotted around the bus. Don't we feel smug? The journey to Panjim will take 8 hours, but that's okay. We'll get a bit of shut-eye and wake up in Goa. Yes, that would have been great. As we drive through the night, we discover 2 important things. Number 1, our driver is insane and drives the way insane drivers do. Number 2, don't sit at the back of the bus. The roads are terrible. Well, either that or our wheels have been swapped out for an oval set off a clown car. Being in the back row, we feel every bump, and we feel them. The back row was empty for a reason, and the driver was just trying to help us out by sitting us elsewhere. Now I think he is deliberately illustrating that point. On several occasions, we were propelled into the air as the bus hit bumps in the road. We brake so sharply we are hurled at the seat in front, except Martin, who has no seat in front and flies into the central aisle. I think that by the time I get to the end of this journey, if I get to the end of this journey, the entire contents of my upper body will be an internal organ protein shake sloshing around in my lower abdomen. But the final nail in the coffin containing the mangled remains of a good night's sleep is the video. We are on a video bus. Later editions of the guidebooks warn the weary traveller of this particular phenomenon, and we find out why. At the front of the bus, there was a TV mounted on the ceiling. We didn't pay it any heed. I assumed it was broken. Later on, I will pray for it to break. When it does burst into life, we seem to be in the middle of a show. We see a man sitting at a desk. He shows clips from Bollywood films, laughs maniacally and thumps the desk at every clip. He seems to like the song and dance sequences best. They occur several times in almost every Bollywood production, and it feels like he's showing them all. This is not my favourite viewing material, but it might have been bearable were it not for the volume. The sound is cranked to max and distorts as the speakers struggle to cope. It is grating, and it is late. The interior lights are turned off, the TV isn't. The high-pitched, screechy, wailing vocals provide the lullaby, while the bus violently rocks and bounces us to sleep. Despite all this, on occasion, my consciousness gives up the fight and I do sleep, but never for long. At some point I note that the TV was finally off. Either that, or one of the other passengers ripped it off its bracket and heaved it out the door. Either works for me. As dawn breaks, the bus pulls into a stand in the town of Mapusa. I'm not sure what happened to Panjim, but Mapusa is also in Goa, or so I'm told. The staff of the bus Darba, that's a cafe, are all asleep on the tables but come alive as we turn up. The gas is lit and into the dirty saucepan goes at least a gallon of milk, a cup of tea powder and several cups of sugar. They know we need the energy after a night in that bus. At the taxi stand, several drivers vie for our business. We need 2 cars and we want to go to Villa Fatima in Baga Beach. One of our chosen drivers hands us business cards. They are cards for Sea View Cottages, wherever they are. We're sure they're nice, but we want to go to Villa Fatima. He is not happy, but a fare is a fare, and off we go. After 30 minutes or so, we turn off a main road and bounce down a rough track before coming to a halt outside a row of cabins. On a sign, they have an enlarged replica of the business cards we were given earlier. Despite requesting Villa Fatima, we have come to Sea View Cottages. Oh, here we go. The driver tells us that Villa Fatima is closed. Closed down, burnt down, eaten by a giant squid. I can't remember all the rubbish excuses. But like our man in Miraj, this guy is on commission. He hopes that having brought us here, we will cave and stay. Oh, how wrong you are. We insist that he takes us to Villa Fatima on principle. I want to see the closed sign for myself, the smoking remains, or the giant squid dead from chronic indigestion. A seriously disgruntled driver takes us back along the track to the main road. 15 minutes later, we pull up outside a distinctly intact, squid-free and clearly open for business Villa Fatima. As we unload, the driver asks for more money for the extra fuel, and to mitigate his loss of commission from the Seaview Cottages, no doubt. By the look on his face, it is clear that he actually thought that would work. Miraj was written and read by Phil Wingfield.